All right, everyone. Bronson Kaufusi here. Welcome to Uncle Bronson'S podcast. Great to have you. I'm really excited because today we have Gabe Reid from Stanford. He's on the football team. Really excited to have him. Gabe, thanks for joining us today, man.
Thanks for having me. Super excited to be here, man.
Oh, man. Awesome. Well, I'm excited because Gabe and I, there's some things you need to know about Gabe and I. He might have forgotten, but I remember. So first of all, we both went to the same high school, which is pretty cool. And then we also shared the same high school number, which is pretty crazy. Do you remember that? I don't know if you knew that.
Big shoes to fill, man.
Hey, well, you definitely filled them, and you filled them better, bro. So I used to go and watch Gabe actually when he was playing. So, and because my brother was on the team too, so it was fun to go out there and watch you, man. So yeah, really excited to have you on though. Maybe Gabe, maybe to start out, like telling everyone kind of like about yourself, where you're from, and kind of like your football story.
For sure, man. Yeah. So like Bron said, I'm Gabe Reid. I grew up in Utah, went to high school at Timpview, played defensive end there, and went through the recruiting process. Decided to come here to Stanford in Palo Alto, California. Yeah, I'm playing outside linebacker now. Still have ties back home to Utah. My dad, BYU. Sorry about that. Did I cut out?
You're good. No worries.
And then, yeah, I got a brother who's playing at the University of Utah right now as well. He's playing linebacker.
Sweet.
But yeah.
What are you studying? What are you studying at Stanford?
Yeah, so I just graduated this past June from the major's called Management Science and Engineering.
Oh, sweet.
But, yeah, it's basically a business hybrid type deal. We don't have an official like business undergrad at Stanford. Mm-hmm. So that was what I decided to major in.
Dang, that's cool. No, that's awesome. Dang, what? Maybe you can tell us a little bit about like what you love about Stanford and like what are the best things about Stanford, being there, being a football player.
For sure, yeah. I think for me, when I was trying to decide where I wanted to go to school, my thought process was, like, and even more than my thought process, I like my parents' thought process, like telling me, hey, like, you need to go to Stanford because life's about more than football. Yeah. And so kind of that big picture and understanding, okay, like walking away from a great school like Stanford, having that degree is going to be able to help me and open doors for me, after football's done. Mm-hmm. It's going to come. And so I think that was my thought process coming in to Stanford. And then like, I think now later down the road, 4 years later, the biggest thing for me that I've loved and enjoyed about Stanford is just the people that I'm able to connect with, whether that's teammates, classmates, professors. There's just like a lot of really amazing people around, and it's been very, I guess, just super cool for me to connect with people who are excelling at very different things. Mm-hmm. And we're able to interact and come together at this university. So that's been a cool experience for me.
Yeah, I gotta assume like everyone's like super driven. I remember when I was getting recruited to Stanford, and I remember I went to some of the classes, and yeah, I felt the same way, like talking to some of the students and the teachers there. I remember I was like, man, you're right. Everyone's excelling, working hard, like, because you'll just get left behind. I felt like, especially like at a school like Stanford, where it's so competitive and everyone's grinding. So no, yeah, that's cool, man. That's really cool. All right, so maybe tell us about like your goals after this year. Like, do you have NFL like aspirations? Is that something that you want to do?
For sure, yeah. I mean, like every a little kid who grows up playing, flag football, Pop Warner, like that's always been my dream to play in the league. And, hoping to have a big year this year and put some good tape out there and make it to the NFL. So that's my plan. Then, moving forward from there, seeing how that goes, continuing with like my business degree. I'm also working on a master's right now in communications.
Oh, sweet, man. That's awesome.
So that's been another blessing. This is my redshirt senior year. So I finished my undergrad and I'm able to work on a master's program here.
Yeah. So it's your 5th year right now at Stanford.
Exactly.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, that's so nice. You get to have that 5th year where you can, work towards a master's, and then, and whenever you're done playing football, will you finish it within the year, or do you need to come back and
so I will have like a quarter left after the quarter. Sweet. So I'll be pretty much mostly done. The kicker is I have to like do my thesis. So that's going to be like the grinder that I'll have to finish either after the fact or, really work to grind it out. But
dang, dude, that's awesome, man. So talking about like, football player, you're also excelling in school. How do you balance everything? Like what's a tip that you can give to people that are, trying to balance their school, their sport, throw a job in there? I don't know. But I mean, I feel like being at like such a, prestigious school like Stanford, I mean, you probably have like a really like tedious like work schedule or like workload from, homework and stuff. So doing that in football and whatever else you do, I mean, it's got to be pretty challenging. But yeah, what tips do you have?
Yeah, I think like you said, it's definitely a grind. I mean, being a student athlete in general, you have all your coursework on top of lecture. You have like labs, sections, homework, and then on top of that, you have weightlifting, conditioning, practice, games, travel to and from games, and it can be overwhelming for sure. But I think for me, like number one, you have to be organized. Like you have to have some way, and it's different for everybody else. And also disclaimer, like I definitely am not perfect, but for me, it's like I have to have everything, written down, whether it's in my phone to do, or sometimes I've done like a planner and that's worked for me. But just being organized and then being able to like focus on the task at hand, like not saying I have all this stuff I have to get done. Cause then it's like, if you're trying to focus too much on everything, you're not going to get anything done. But if you're able to like kind of chunk things off and do one thing at a time, that's been helpful for me, at least, being able to kind of, narrow down to, what things need to get done one at a time instead of being overwhelmed by the whole. But yeah.
Yeah, cool. Well, that's awesome. Maybe changing gears here. I was just thinking, I like asking people, a lot of the college athletes, some different questions. And like, I was like, man, I think this would be a good question for Gabe. I want to know someone that, like, who's your hero? Like in your life, like who's your hero and why? Because I feel like as a college athlete, like you're talking about, you've had to do, like you said, you have to plan things out. You have to make sure you stay on top of things, you stay focused. But I don't know. I feel like college athletes and really anyone that really wants to be like a high performing individual, they have a hero or an example or someone that they've always looked up to that really kind of showed them the way or gave them the motivation. So who is that to you and why?
Tough question. I think for me, my heroes would definitely be my parents. And that's kind of a cliche, but honestly, and for me, like I just grew up always looking up to both my parents. Obviously my dad had success in football in his career, and he's someone that's always been there for me in that regard. Whenever I had questions like or concerns, he's been the first person to kind of be able to guide me and mentor me, help me to understand, what needs to be done in order to achieve the goals that I have. So I've always looked up to him in terms of his work ethic and his example for me. And then in terms of my mom being my hero, she's just always been an example of someone who loves wholeheartedly. Anyone and everyone that she comes into contact with knows that she's such a loving person. So I'd say both my parents are my heroes and have really kind of shaped, obviously, who I am today and motivated me to achieve and accomplish as much as I can. So,
dang, dude, that's awesome. Because, I don't know, like for you, I don't know if you're like me, but whenever I like to, like, before games, like almost get a little, I like getting like a little bit emotional, you know what I mean? Kind of, because it's just, football is such a passionate game, and really every sport is. But and I like to sit there and just think about my family too, because like my parents, they're my heroes. And when I think about that, when I think about them and all the sacrifices that they've made so I could be able to play the game, that day, I'm like, I get into like a different zone, honestly, where it's just like, this is it. Like, it's time to lock in. Like, it's time to go out there and perform.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I can definitely do that. Like, just thinking about everything that was sacrificed for you to be where you're at, and then thinking like, man, I got a ball. Like,
Yeah, it's true.
Everybody did all this stuff for me. Like, I don't want to let anybody down, So
Yeah. No, that's so true. That's so true. Dang, man. Yeah. I don't always ask those types of questions, but I was like, oh man, I feel like I need to ask Gabe this question. So I appreciate you answering it. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. So, okay. So switching some gears here, moving to maybe some type of maybe advice that you'd give to any younger athletes out there that are trying to get where you're at today. Like, is there anything that you wish you would have known when you were in high school going through it all?
I think something that comes to mind, I guess, just really focusing on just putting in the work. I think the day and age that we live in, social media and just all the hype, with recruiting, all that deal, like I'm a firm believer in also, like, going back to, the way that my dad helped me to, like, learn, everybody's out there competing and working. And so if you work hard and do the extra stuff, like, good things will come to fruition. And so I guess my advice would be, like, just keep working hard, and like, good things will happen.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I feel like putting in the work, like, I think about it like people don't really know when, like, what it really takes, until you're there, you're by yourself grinding in the summer, like putting in your reps, you want your hands, your feet, working on all those, techniques that you put together on game day, and you do thousands of reps a year, just so you can go out there and perform at a high level. And it's funny because, like, at every level it applies, like, you can tell. I remember, like, going to, like, different camps and then showing up at high school, and you can tell, like, oh, like, some guys would come back and they're, like, completely different. Like, they're way better, their technique's way more clean, they're more confident, and it's because they just kept building, and I'm exactly what you said. Like, I think everyone just needs to continue to build, like, every day, do something where you build your technique, something that makes you perform at a higher level. So, like, I'm there with you on that one. I guess, is there anything else you'd like to add, Gabe? Is there anything, thinking about your college experience, your recruiting process, going to the next level? Anything else?
Shoot. I guess one more thing that kind of has kind of stuck with me the past year or two. Just like the importance of like just being a good person. More than football, more than school. Like I feel like there's been a couple experiences I've had, specifically like with one of my coaches here at Stanford. He's really emphasized to us like more than anything, like I want you guys to succeed, be great athletes, be great in football, but like never forget like the importance and impact that you can have of just like being a good person to the people around you. That's something too, like I'm so grateful for my wife, Katie. She's really like
Katie. I was waiting for you. I was like, we need to talk about Katie.
Oh, my other hero. Let me get that on tape. Yeah.
She's always your hero.
Yeah, she's just like the greatest, most loving and selfless person. And she's really pushed me to like consciously like just be a good person and like really, really strive to, make meaningful connections. Like people you meet on the street, you don't really like recognize, and we don't know what everybody's going through, what people are dealing with, especially like today, COVID. Obviously there's like a lot of stuff going on, but just going out of your way to like be kind, say thank you, be genuine in your conversations with people. I think that's something that's really important, in that if there was more like genuine like love in the world today, we can make it a lot better place. So.
Oh yeah, that's great. No, that's awesome. I fully agree with that. You just never know, what people are going through. And I feel like being a college athlete, or just an athlete in general, even from like grade school to middle school, like if you play sports, and I mean, you're automatically put into a realm where you can affect a lot of people around you. Like people are always watching you because you kind of just get forced into the limelight, and you're just there. And so it's so important that you use that for good, and you help a ton of people. So I fully agree with that, no doubt. So I appreciate that. Well, thank you, Gabe. Thanks for being on the show. Really appreciate it. Excited for you and your future at Stanford. Big year this year. We'll all be watching. So keep it going, man. Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks, Bronson. Thanks for having me, man.